If you want to get into programming in general, everyone will tell you to start with Python. Why? Well, it is easy. No, but actually, it is easy. Look at the code to print a single line onto the screen in C versus Python. You get the idea, right? Well, Python can do more than just print lines. For example, you can do math. And yeah, that's about all I know for now. But wait, what is the point of this video? You see, a couple of weeks ago, I wanted to learn Python the right way. What is the right way? Well, something that is more structured and is not just a full YouTube course. I didn't overthink it and went straight to Howard University's CS50 Introduction to Python course, which is free for everyone. It took me around 3 weeks to finish the course along with all the assignments except for the final one. Now, once I completed it, I wanted to create some projects to really drill down on my basics and get better. So I asked ChatGPT to give me a list of projects to make from beginner to intermediate level. It did give me some good projects, and first one was pretty simple, a unit converter, a classic noob level project. If you have a bit of programming experience, you might think that this project should not take me more than an hour to make in full, right? Well, it took me around 2 days. That's right, 2 whole fucking days to make a goddamn unit conversion tool. First day, it took me 21 minutes just to figure out how to push my whole folder with files in it to my empty GitHub repo. I wanna end it all. Anyways, let's start with the basics first, just in case you have never programmed before. You start by making a Python file. Duh. You start by opening a folder and creating a Python file inside of that folder. Inside of that file, you can do 2 things. Either start writing code to implement the logic, or structure the code with different reusable functions. Generally, you would want to go for the second option because of the best practices in computer science. So you define a main function which contains the main logic of the code and some other reusable functions or functions that perform different actions. That is the general structure for most of the programs you might make in the future. But where things get interesting is that now that you have the structure of the program, where do you start? Let's take currency conversion for example. The rates change every minute if not second. In these cases, you would want to use an external API. I went with this API. It was free and pretty easy to set up. You get this API URL which contains your API key. Keep this in mind that API key needs to be private. Okay, now that you have your own API key and URL, what's next? Well, now we need to somehow figure out how to ask the user for input and show them the result. You can pretty much see where I'm going with this one. On surface, it is a very simple project. However, for some reason, my dumbass told me to practice working with modules and packages, and that's where the shit got real. So I created a folder called beginner projects with the idea that all of the so-called beginner level projects will go inside of this folder. Then I created the project folder itself. But along with that, I also created a helper folder with the idea of making some helper files that I can use in any project instead of writing same lines of code every time. Since the helpers folder is a package, I needed to create a special file named init.py which marks this folder as a package. This is where you step out of the beginner level zone. Now you have created a folder that is reusable, which means if you find yourself writing same lines of code every time, you can create a separate file for it inside of the helpers folder and import it. Now to take it a step further, you can even simplify the process. Instead of importing files one by one, you can import them all inside of this init.py file, and then you can simply import the whole helpers folder and use any functions from any file with the dot syntax. So I ended up creating a bunch of different helper files and importing them into my unit conversion tool. One thing that is really cool about Python is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel yourself. If you find yourself struggling with some problem, chances are someone on the internet have had the same issue, and there might exist a package or library that can help you solve your problem. For example, I used the Pint package, which lets you convert between different units of measurement without you having to know every dimension in the world. You can simply give it the unit you want to convert from and to, and it will do the math for you. This project was not supposed to get this complex, but I guess it taught me some valuable things that I can apply in future projects, and that's the beauty of it. If you keep practicing simple things without challenging yourself, you will never be able to grow past your comfort zone. Anyways, if you want to check out the code from a project, I will leave the link to my GitHub page in the description. Oh, there was one more thing during this project that I forgot to tell you.
Element of surprise!